Good morning, everybody. This is the Lazy Farmer, and forget the countdown. This is part 2 of building a local supply train. So let's just jump in and let's get started. Alright, so yeah, found my rock station and my music, and we'll see how that plays out. But where did we leave off? Well, you remember the last time in part 1, I showed you how to actually build a supply train based upon a certain local number. And let's get into fly mode here. Alright, so, and then how to set them out, and we are in the receiving yard. Hump yard is down there where the tower's at. But as it is, we have a couple of options here that we can do. One, we can just actually slap an engine on the end of this and send it out to the local. Let's go ahead and turn on the destination tags. This is something that changed after the last one. I forgot to show this to you guys. I did tag the cars. Let me see. Let me find a red one here. Boron's got some red ones. The tank car is down here. So, yeah, see, so you can see those a little bit better on the screen, but red means that those cars are full, green means that cars are empty, and then, of course, orange is they're half full or half empty, depending on your outlook on life. Sorry, sip of coffee. Anyway, so like I said, we had a couple of options. I mean, at this point here, since we built this local, and it's all for LCal 0611, which is the BOR is borax. So we've got tank cars, and we have box cars, and then we have some two big gondolas down there that are all going to borax. That's enough with the number of cars that we have. That's actually enough for one train. But we also have EDM, which is EDW, which is Edwards Air Force Base, and then we have NAM, which is North American Mining. So, anyway, those are the three industries that are serviced by the LCal 0611. But like I said, we have a couple of options. First one. Stick a couple of 2-3 engines, depending on how much horsepower you want to run at the end of this train, and just go with it. Or if you wanted to be more realistic, we have this option here. Now, when I clicked on this rail car down here, you can see that it turned red. I now own this string of cars. If I need to pick up another string of cars or to go get some engines, just like on a regular train, I have to relinquish these because you can only own one at a time. We're going to go into the tagger. And so in the train tagger menu, you can see we have all acid cars, and then the next we have all box cars. And then after that, we have the two big covered hoppers, but they're all tagged BOR, LCal 0611 BOR. And then we have box cars for Edwards Air Force Base, EDW, LCal 0611. So one thing you can do is you can either just tag a car, if you know it's going to borax in this case, and it has to be in capital, by the way, reminder. We can just do that. Or we can do industry tag here. By turning on industry tag, we get a button. We can click that. Every industry in all the subdivisions that we own, all the locals that come with those subdivisions, any industry that uses acid cars in this case, are going to be listed. In this case, borax is right there. We just have to click on it, and now it's tagged LCal 0611 borax. So now we know where it's going. Okay, and then of course, borax wants full. And we saw that in this. It actually tells you they want loaded cars, or down here they want empty cars. They create loads, and that's a good thing to know, especially if in this virtual model railroad that we're running, if we need a place to get full acid cars to bring them to borax, we have one of 4 places we can go to. And YBK50, that could be a good one, because that's actually a Union Pacific run. So this would be a great way to get cars down from, say, Barstow to West Colton. West Colton is a Union Pacific yard. Barstow is Burlington Northern Santa Fe yard. So we can run, once we pick up these empties, bring them back to this yard, tag them with YBK50, and send them to West Colton. And then from West Colton, they could be put over the hump yard and built into the YBK50 local, and then run down that local. And so we now have cars moving back and forth off of our our subdivision, our virtual model railroad, building, working back and forth. And that's a good thing to know too, because we can actually add that tag of Y-BK50 to the industry or borax, so those cars, when they get tagged randomly to where their destinations are, some of those cars can potentially be tagged YBK50 and be routed accordingly. So something to note: back and forth, or they can go off the map, whatever you desire. So anyway, we are all tagged. There we go. I have to change it so I can get out of that menu properly. There we go. So everything's tagged, and that's how we got to that. Now, what's the next step? So we own this. So we can go into left control F1, which is the train maker upper, and right here we have copy player train. So if we click that, all the cars that are in that consist will show up in this list over here. Why is this important? Well, something that's very basic we can do is we can do a random reverse. Okay, I like this button here because right now every single car is facing all in the same direction. That's not realistic. So random reverse. You can see we have an REV reverse. Some of these cars have now been reversed in this train here. Okay, not down here. They haven't been changed down here yet, just right here. The next thing, if you want to play with the hump yard, and mind you, this is only if you want to play with the hump yard, then you can do random reorder. Okay, now not only have the cars, by doing random reverse, some of them have been reversed, but now they have been done completely in a random order. And then of course we can go place train, and let's get down here, and I'll show you. It's the same consist, and once we place the train, okay, we can tab out of that. So we now own this one because we just placed it. It automatically, when we place the train, it automatically relinquishes the one we had before, and then we now own this particular train. But if we look at the difference, you can see the cars are all mixed up. So now we can put a couple of locomotives at the beginning of this, and which I'm going to do here for you in just a moment, and how to set it up to push over the hump yard. So before we go do that, let's go down to the hump yard. Okay, and I'm in fly mode here, so this is holding down left control, and then the W is how you got the different speeds. Left control W, shift W, see it's a little bit slower or a little bit faster depending on your perspective, or just W. And then we just need to be within 100 meters of this shed, and we can do left control F6, and this brings up the Barstow hump yard. And this particular, okay, we could go with this if we wanted to. It was added, or I actually programmed this one over here. Okay, and we can just do BOR, or like in this one, like you saw in this one, we can actually do LCAL 0611 EDM NAM or BOR. And either way, it's still going to work because it's going to be looking for these tags if we go with this configuration, or it's just going to be looking for these. As long as those are in the car tag, we're okay. So I want to move, actually I'm going to do this. I want to move these down here. I'll move them over just a little bit. Oops. All uppercase again. BOR, EDW, And we're going to click here and then NAM. And then we'll erase these. Oops, there we go. Erase, 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 and then to lock them in, we're going to save the disk. Okay, and we're good. So we've just configured the hump yard. It's that easy. And then once it's configured, we enable the hump yard and make sure the auto pin puller is also enabled. So now this is the hump yard configuration we're going to be going with. So, and then by the way, and I didn't say it, but you probably figured out already that these numbers here correspond with the track numbers in the bowl, and the track numbers in the bowl start with, actually in Barstow, it's in here as 01. At Barstow, it's actually 101, 102, 103, 104. And if you look at some of the maps that are out there too, especially from, I think it's the Depot Plus server, has got great maps on it. They actually label them as 101, 102, 103. Don't get confused. Just drop that first one, and you can go with the second numbers because that's what's in the game. All right, so let's go fly back down to our train, and I'm going to show you real quick. Whoops, get back up here onto the ground. Hello. And we want to put a couple of locomotives on the beginning of this train so we can push it over the hump. And all we have to do is go back in, once again, go back into our train maker upper, so left control F1. And we're going to clear this out. If there's anything there, you want to clear it. Okay, and we're going to go to freight locomotives. And let's pick a couple, and we don't need, we can go with something like some -9s or something or whatever, but for this case here, I'm going to grab, even though this is a BNSF yard, I want to grab something a little bit different. Southern Pacific. I like Southern Pacific. So we're going to grab a couple of those. So click, and we're going to add. And we want to reverse the last one. So we're just, and all you do is right click on it and it reverses. So we have one train facing in one direction, one train facing in the other. So, good enough. All right, and then same thing. We're just going to go place train. And we can't place it on the lines that already have cars on it. It has to be the section has to be completely vacant of cars or locomotives. And there you go. All right, so we've got our Southern Pacific engines. We're going to use those to push over the hump. Now, the next thing we need to do is, obviously, look at this. We got a blank panel. It says free agent train. Why? Because we haven't relinquished this one, okay, or the previous train that we own. So all we have to do is go up here and relinquish train. Done. That's simple. We've relinquished it. So now we're going to come over here, click on our locomotive, start all locomotives. Automatic multi-unit or distributive power is what that stands for. So multi-unit, this is multi-unit here. Distributive power would be if we put a locomotive at the end of that consist, which we're not going to do. CB is circuit breaker, so we're going to automatically turn on all circuit breakers. And then AB is air brake, so automatically set all the air brakes. And we can see we're getting our notifications here. Angle cocks, air hoses are set for normal operation. Air brake system recharged. We have running locomotives. We can see running here. I also sometimes will look for exhaust, which I'm not seeing any exhaust out of these locomotives. Oh yeah, there it is, right there. I was looking in the wrong spot. We got some exhaust coming out of them. We got some exhaust coming out down here, so we know they're running. So at this point, we could either left control F11, and we're in the cab. Or we can stay out on the ground. That's F12. We'll put you back on the ground again, and we can run these while we're on the ground. So first thing we want to do, though, we've got to take a look at the switches over here, make sure they're aligned. They're not, so we're going to go into F3. And so here's our lead locomotive number right here. Here's the boxcars that we want to push over the hump. And first thing I notice is we look at this and it is not aligned. So if I try to move it, these switches are controlled by, if they show up on this panel here, this is a dispatching panel. If they're showing up on this panel, they're controlled by the dispatcher auto. That's why we're getting this message over here. So one of the two things we can do, if we click on it and you get that message and it says auto DS on duty cannot throw switch, we can either have an option here of turning off auto DS. Not my preferred method, but in a pinch that might be something you might have to need. There's where you do that, and that turns off auto DS in this subdivision only. Or you can right click, so you see how it turns blue. Left click, you can see that it's switched. Right click to make it turn white again, and there it is. That's now we're aligned to go to the hump right there. All right, and so same thing over here. We need to get our locomotives up. So left click, right click, left click, right click, and then come down to this switch. Right click to turn it blue, left click to switch it, right click to put it back to normal again. So it's so when it's white like this, it's under DS control. So now we can escape out of this. You can see the switches are moving. It's pretty cool. And we're aligned accordingly. So now we're just going to jump on the back end of this thing by getting close to the ladder, and we're just going to hit the E key and we're on board. Couple blasts of the horn. And let's go Shift C to bring up the telemetry, and then we're going to go make sure that we're in forward. And I'm just going to notch up one, take off the parking brake, which is F5, and then Control End and Control Page Down to make sure all brakes are released. We're moving. We don't need to move too fast because we're not going too far. So as soon as we start moving, I kind of notch down again to 0. You can see we're always slowing down because it's an uphill climb. You can actually see that where it says grade. We're at a 0.5% grade. So it's a matter of just notching up, notching down, notching up, notching down. Try not to use the brakes. Don't need to. Let gravity be your brake. All right. So once we're clear of this switch, it's actually okay to put it back to normal again so it goes straight through. Good habit to do. Put it back the way you found it. And the same thing here, once we're up and clear of this switch, I am going to do Control and then Page Up. That's the independent brake, bringing these locomotives to a stop. And that's full brake. When you do right Control, Page Up, that is full brake. So we're stopped. So we're going to go back into the F3 menu again. And so once again, we came off of this track. So right click, left click, right click to put the switch back the way we found it. This one we're going to do right click, right click, so we can switch into these cars here. And right click, turn it back to normal. We can see the switch just moved. That's kind of a cool feature. It waits for you to get back in so you can see it move. And then we're going to do the delete key twice, because once puts it into neutral, and then once again for the delete key puts it into reverse. Right Control Page Down to take off the brake, and that's the independent brake. And we're going to go ahead and hit the plus key by the number pad, and we're going to go ahead and hit the negative. So the negative key, the plus key actually is basically you accelerate, and the negative turns off, basically notches back down again. So, and remember we're on a negative 0.5%. So if we just tap the page up key, we can gently apply, and if we look at the MPH right here, I like to be able to at least try to connect under 5 miles an hour. It's not so valid. 2 miles an hour is optimal. All right, so now we're connected, and normally in the real world, let me get off the ground here. In the real world, you're going to go along and you're going to go, okay, we got locomotives connected. These hoses aren't connected, so we're going to click on the coupler. We're going to click on connect for the air hose. But we don't really want, I think we just made a mistake there. Anyway, we don't want, oh wait, no, that one we do. The car we want open. It's the locomotive right now, which is closed. We're not ready yet. But if this entire string of cars was all connected just like this, Then we're going to partial open the air cock because we don't want to dump the air in the train. That'll cause a pneumatic control system alert and basically locks your train down, and you got to go through a process. So it's really, the process is connect your air hoses, make sure they're connected on all your cars. If this is going to go out on the road, you want to end the train device at the last car, and then you're going to come back here and you're going to partially open, and then you're going to let the air come up. And I'll show that in a later video, not right now. But yeah, actually, we would do this process and make sure every single car is connected, especially if you're just launching the game. Even if these were, when you saved the game and you exited, if all these cars were connected and properly aired, when you came back into the game, they would be disconnected. It's just a thing. No big deal. So, but what we can do is, I'll show you on this coupler, there's a cheat. If I hit F7, okay, air brake system recharge, angle cocks and air hoses are set for normal operation. So you can see that's automatic, and that does that for all the trains that are connected to the locomotive that you have control over. So that's another way of doing it. But in this situation, this is going to go over the hump. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go click on the lead locomotive and need to tag this. So, I mean, we can do something, you know, Y for yard 101, we'll say, space, but as long as this word is in the tag, hump, okay, then Auto's going to know that that's what this job for these two locomotives is. And you only need to tag your lead locomotive. But if for some reason you got to switch back and forth, in fact, if I click on this one, I can set this as a lead locomotive. Well, if for some reason I need to do this, then I want to pre-tag it 102, yard locomotive 102, which is different than the actual locomotive number, but I'm going to do the same thing, hump, just in case, down the road, future thinking. And you can see it's set as a multiple unit, it's not set as a lead unit. So, alright, so we're set to push this over the hump. Now you could do it yourself, and the speed for going over the hump is 2 miles an hour. So you just have to, you know, control your locomotive, and there is, I think it's left control C, can set that automatically on so that you're doing 2 miles an hour and should not exceed that. Or you do what I do. I just do AI recrew, and you click on that, and you're going to see SP8540 has been recrewed for AI humping. That's 8540 right there. And if we listen, we should hear 3 blasts on the horn. 3 blasts indicates he's reversing, and he's going to start pushing these cars over the hump. And the hump has already been configured, so at that point it is a matter, we're going to do Shift F12, get into fly mode, and you see he's already pushing these cars back. We don't have to do a thing. So we're going to fly down here to the hump, and basically when he's done pushing all the cars into the bowl here, which is empty, then if you wanted to, you could grab a pair of locomotives, which I have sitting down here, and start pulling cars out of the bowl, put them into your local tracks, which are these right over here, and build that locomotive train to be just like the one we have here. So the initial one that I started at the beginning of the video. So that's building the local train, part 2. Not a long video, but real quick and easy on what to do. So how to build a local train, okay, by doing it this way and having it ready to go. Or if you wanted to create a train, which would be another video, that'll come in. It'll come in looking like this. This is how you sort your cars so that you can build that loco to go over out to whichever one, if it's LCal 0611, YBK50, or whatever local you want to do. This is how you do it. It's really that easy. I mean, being a sandbox game, extremely powerful, extremely flexible. It's your virtual model railroad. I'm always going to say that. Your virtual model railroad. play it the way you want to play it. Make it as hard or as easy as you want. So I want to take, let me click on that. Oh, that don't belong to that one. Let me do this one. Let's grab this one. I now own that string of cars. I want to show you something else that you can do too. Let's go down here to the local yard. Okay. So we're going to say we have that same string of cars that I own. We're going to go Control F1 and let's clear that and copy player trains back in here. And I'm going to do random reverse, random reorder. So I'm going to, oops, I didn't want to do that. There we go. Place train. So I'm going to place this train starting right here. Okay. Long train. And in fact, you can see it actually even exits the local yard, which is not a good thing. But we'll play with that later. So if you have something like that, what does that mean? That means you might have to break this local up into two different groups. You might have to take those cars that are just for boron and remove the rest. Or, you know, take the ones for North American and Edwards Air Force Base and leave the ones for boron, whatever you want to do. But the point I want to show you is something that you can do. I have this consist, so I can take all the ones that say, okay, we got covered hoppers. I can grab this here. First one's a covered hopper. Here's another covered hopper. Hold down the control key. I'm going to grab all three of those. Oops. That was not smart. Anyway, grab them. And you can see I can just... Oops. It's going to fight with me here, so I'm just going to do one at a time. But you can see you can drag and drop your cars. So I can go through and grab all the covered hoppers, put them there, grab all these, bring them up. These aren't going to tell me what industries they're for, but I can grab all the covered hoppers, put them together. I can put all the box cars together. I know the acid cars are all going to go to one spot, so I can find all the acid cars and put them together. So we can play around like this. If I wanted to, I can delete the cars. Say, I'm going to delete a bunch. So I want to show. Alright, that should be enough cars so I can get into the sighting. We'll see how it happens here. But you see boxcar. Here's tank, covered hopper. And here's another covered hopper. We'll move that up. Boxcar. And so the idea here is to show you that you can move cars around using the train maker upper. And let's see, we're going to pull back all the way up to here. And so if I drop the train in, yeah, track's not clear. It's still too long. So let's edit train some more. I'll do there, and then I will take last one, hold down the shift key, take all those, and I'm going to clear those selected. So we have a little bit of a shorter train. But that's how you can manipulate your train. And there. And now, basically some of the same cars, but you can see we have covered hot cars all together. Some of these are mixed in. We got some North American mixed in with some boron, but it's something that, you know, it's a way you can manipulate your cars. So you can see that now we've got, which were all mixed, are now, some of them are now together. And that was just to show you how you can take a string of cars when they come in to your receiving yard and just pre-sort them without having to put them through the bowl. Pre-sort them to get them ready to go out. So once again, it's whatever you want to do, how you want to run your particular railroad. Some people will if they're they want to run prototypical. I mean, there's in the Depot Plus server, they're pure prototypical. Yeah, they're gonna do things. They're railroaders. They actually work on, most of them work on railroads. They're gonna do things that the railroads do. Okay. If you run your own server, come up with your own server rules. The game comes with a server. So if you want to run server for your friends, come up with your own rules. You know, work it out with your friends. It's a sandbox game. Do what you want. But this is just real quick and easy between video part 1 and this one on how to build a local to go out to. And then, I mean, we can also once it's built, you can save the train. If we go up into load save or F1, you can save the train here. We got a whole bunch of trains in here that are already pre-saved that came with the game, but you could save your own train and save it as LCal 0611 or BNSF LCal 0611, and then have that train spawn wherever it is you want to spawn. So, or you can, like, if you can pick a train like this one here, we can load into the consist editor, which is a train maker upper. Okay, and we can work on that one. However you want to do it. Once again, it's your sandbox. Play with it. Have fun. So anyway, real quick, brief video as cars are now starting to go over the hump yard. We'll watch that for a little bit. Then I'm going to bring this to an end. So you can follow me. You can find me on Twitch. You can, like I say, you can follow me on YouTube. That's where this video is going to be at. I'm on Twitch. I will stream this game every once in a while on Twitch, but I'll put up videos on it. If you're into trains, this is the best, in my opinion, the best train simulator out there. Most realistic train simulator out there. And it can be as real as you want. Once again, it can be as casual as you want. It's up to you. All right, my friends. That is the end of it for this particular tutorial. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I am the Lazy Farmer. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. Have a great day.